Hello everyone and welcome to a quick look of To Tell a Demon. This is a fun game I saw on my Twitter feed. I really like the art style and I'm a real sucker for good art styles. You know, it really makes the games, pop, games, really set some games apart from other games. And I thought this looked really neat, and the developer was very kind enough to give me a copy of this game for free to cover. I said, sure, I'll look at it. I meant to put this up a while ago, but unfortunately I'm just now getting to it. It's by Sun Labyrinth. They developed and published the game. And yeah, let's get into it, shall we? Let's just start the game. This work of fiction. Names, characters, places, incidents are either the products of the author's imagination or used in a fictitious manner. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or living dead, or actual events or incidents is purely coincidental. Please click to continue. I hit the enter button. Themes of death, loss, occasional swearing, painted blood. It's a fantasy story with a splash of horror. So, there might be some adult themes here. So, just, FYI, for forewarning. Tell Demon has a few of its own features in addition to being a visual novel. Click to learn more about any of the following. Let's see about the features of this game. It has two features in particular, the mind and timed choices. Which would you want to say about the mind? Here's Julius. Because he is a point of view character, he has his own mind, so that means we're going to see the game from his point of view. You can access his thoughts and memories as they are unlocked throughout the story. Go ahead and try. Click mind, which is the top button, and then click return when you're done or clicked. So yeah, it's in mind. Why is there a map? Nope, no clear memories before I came to the world with the big map. Knowledge. The tutorial world seems to be occupied by a map. Well then. Okay. Characters' minds can change as time goes on, and as you make choices, it essentially functions as a journal or diary. When no point of view character is present, the screen is blank. Click to learn more. Let's learn about the time choices. Okay, for the purpose of this demonstration, they've been turned on to the default setting, which is medium speed. Click to see a time choice. Wait, okay, yeah, okay. You chose the third choice, then that's how time choices work. Would you like to enable? Sure, why not? Slow and medium speed settings permit rollback, but with fast speed, rollback is disabled after a choice is made. So if you pick a wrong choice, you might have to live with the consequences. Be it good or bad. Okay. Alright, that's fine. We don't need to know any more about that. Stuff seems pretty interesting. History, probably text history. The mind, obviously. Save, quick load, save. Easy stuff. Okay. Act 1. Old friends, old foes. It is said that the Empress Mara Sita was immortal. It is also said that over 1,000 years ago, she broke off a shard of the world. This became Aesir. The people she brought with her lived there, between the chain of the mountains in the west and the demon's teeth in the east. However, the young land would dissolve away like dew by noontime if it was not made permanent. This the Empress did, with blood and magic, the first walls and the enchanted foundation stones of the city-states. When it was done, the Empress stood on the first foundation stone of Aesir and declared it the site of her capital. On that spot, her first palace was built, and at that moment began the first year of our era. Despite that the capital of Aesir is no more, and in its place lies the city of Ashur, we still mark time from that day. From the Book of Assyrian History, separating legend and fact, written by Kalevel Venhera under the pen name Martia Helva Holm in the year 1262 CE. Or Prefecture Ashur, Monday, June 23rd, 1321. It was like any of the 100 other nights on Skyla Street. The air was cool and damp, typical of Ashur's early summer. But whether a night was cool or warm, it made little difference to them. Usually it was the hat boss. The woman's voice cut into the silence of the sleeping street as graceless as a slap. In contrast, the man took his time to make even so small a sound of agreement. You dropped it. Now it's got blood on it. Her voice rose and fell with an exasperated rhythm. Then the two demons rounded the corner onto Skyla Street proper. We'll get you a new hat to match the new coat, but you'll scare him off as it is now. Hang on, I'm going to turn down the volume just a bit. It wasn't too loud, but this music's kind of loud. We'll turn the sound down a bit too. Okay. Blood. Your coat. Yeah, I know. That's why you've got to be one to draw him out next time. You got that? Maybe it will have to be tomorrow, considering the time. But can you do this for me? Go on and tell me again what I told you to say before. He forgot how the words were arranged, and which meanings went with them. Each word he recovered with strangled effort. Don't scream now, atta girl. No, that wouldn't work. Try again. Just ask for the time. Tick-tock, Miss Reich. Yeah, that'll charm him. Reich is dead. Got that one, remember? Poor little bunny. It's as if the demon blood went straight to your head and didn't leave much behind. Ah, yeah. What? What is it? You said it loud enough that anybody would look up to see what was the racket. Oh, do you remember something? Come on, remember? I was trying to goad you and it worked, and you said that word for word. I'd swear it. So's how. That was a long time ago. Yes. But that was all he could say. Ah, heck, I miss the old you. We hunger. The words whispered through the mind chain that bound the two demons by blood and making. The implied command in them reached even the dulled mind of the taller demon. Each new contact with the mind chain shredded him a little more, as if his mind was rotted cloth and his memories were fragile threads. We'll bring you something, lady, won't we, boss? He could say nothing, for she of the mind chain had stolen his words. Ah, look at that. Two little rats, exactly where they ought to be. He is not of the mind chain. Hey, come on. He did not see Irae, for his gaze was fixed on this new demon, but he felt her fear echoing through their shared connection to the mind chain. No, not you. Something, and the tall demon knew not what held him there, and he knew he must stay and see what this demon not of the mind chain would do. Do you know, from the moment of your first death, that you begin to lose who you are? I suspect it is because you have a little something to drop on. If only you could. The tall demon only hissed. You are bound tied to her chain, but do you know why she chose you? Well, we shall see if I am right. I often am. After all, you are no use to me like this. For a moment, the tall demon had the impression of many interconnected threads, including the one that bound him to the mind chain. Then the demon not of the mind chain waved his hand, and his thread broke. He stumbled through the dark of his own mind. There he saw a vision of different pieces that made up the demon that made up him. The mind chain which had bound him hung nearby as if waiting for him to get caught up again like some kind of lost little fly. There was something erratic about the web, and he wondered if there was something wrong with the spider that had woven its threads. The demon knot of the mind chain had broken the chain's hold on him, but it didn't seem to have touched the hunger. No, the hunger, the thirst weighed down on him, just as heavy and oppressive and viscous as ever. There was another thing. The hunger itself seemed to whisper to him the moment he looked at it. What are you? Oh, what you are. Sorry. Not that what it said made any sense. He chose to ignore soft words for now. Finally, there was the demon himself. His mind felt sluggish and unused. His physical body was alien to him, the heartbeat too slow. He knew because he could hear it clear as day, as if he paid attention, that wasn't right. And his limbs were too cold, approximately the temperature of marble, yet he knew he could move with a swiftness that belied the cadaverous trappings of his flesh. Maybe it would help him orient if he could only remember his name. He searched for it, but he found nothing. Its absence was a little like realizing that something important, an arm maybe, was missing, and he couldn't quite grasp how it could be gone. No, that wasn't exactly true. I had called him something just moments before. Boss? But that couldn't be his name. He almost had it. Like words you forgot the moment you opened your mouth to speak. He reached for it, but it flitted away, as elusive as a fish fleeing from an approaching shadow. He tried to call out to the demon knot of the mind chain and demanded some answers, but it took him several tries to form words. Wait a minute. When he opened his eyes and staggered from the darkness, he stared into an empty street. Aya was long gone, and without the mind chain he knew he would not be able to find her. So he consulted his memory for some kind of guide as to what he should do next, but was stymied by what he found there. His last clear memory of yesterday featured a winter night, complete with snow on the ground. The image somehow didn't fit with the night's heaty summer air, yeah. He was missing a thing or two. No matter, he would patch up the gaps later. Right now, he could feel the coming sunrise. Time to go ground. His foot caught on a discarded newspaper. He stood and picked it up. Like the spoken word, the written one was slow to come to him. The words kept blurring in his vision, and it took him several tries to make them out. He found the date, June 20th, 1321. He figured the paper was new. It was too clean and uncreased to be anything else. If he was lucky, it was less than a day old, but by his reckoning, he had lost months of time rather than years. Nice to know. He was about to drop the paper when the front page headline registered in his mind. The Skyless Street Killer had been caught. That wasn't right. When the memory started coming back to him, he wished it was right, but it wasn't. A cold, burning dread rose in his stomach, and he was pretty sure right then that he and Aya were the real Skyless Street Killers. Retrieving memories was like catching falling strips of paper, and seeing the headline allowed him to get a hold of another fragment. His last clear memory was of winter, the newspaper. He'd seen a newspaper around that time, too. Several witnesses have glimpsed these night killers, describing a tall man in a long coat and a woman in a riding outfit. He laughed at that line then, or the demon part of him had laughed, maybe. And who was the unlucky sap they jailed instead? Was he innocent, or was he another demon hunting in his and Aya's territory? Somebody must have made an error, because he didn't think he and Aya had stopped killing on this street. Come to think of it, he could still remember the taste from the other night. Or maybe his memory wasn't all that reliable. That could be the case. Funny how Aya hadn't seemed to be as affected as he had. The light in the early morning sky smarted him. He cast about for a place to hide. The grating near this set of stairs caught his eye. It had the look of an entrance to one of Asher's catacomb complexes. He shoved the paper into one of his pockets and walked into the grating. He pried it free and slipped into the darkness, shutting it behind him. The dimness of the catacomb soothed some of his agitation, except then the hunger stirred. Didn't speak in words, not at first. He had the impression of a red, clean substance, but he couldn't see its face. Finally got you alone, free of that she-shadow on her orders. Now we can have a real ball. I can't. Okay, there's my mouse. It was the other demon that freed me. Semantics, I didn't say freed you, did I? Don't know why it helped me, come to think of it. Well, they're funny, those court demons. We'll have to remember to thank him someday, shadow demon style. Anyhow, look at us. We're freer than birds. You know why? Because even free little birds gotta work at living, but not you. The hunger loomed like an angry red cloud in the darkness. It closed in around the tall demon. If there was a way out, he couldn't see it. This is madness. Without a doubt. It snickered. So you're real. Only as real as you are. I wasn't lying to him. Okay, well then help me out here. So help me out. With pleasure. Feed, drink it, guzzle it, consume it. The sooner, the better. That's some sound advice. Can't change what you are, demon. He hesitated, not sure he wanted to know. You are me. Are you kidding? I'm a whole lot more interesting. Wouldn't know a smart quib if it nipped you in the eye. But listen, seeing as I won't have your attention forever. Its hold on him seemed to tighten as if he were a dog on a leash. He could not help that snarl that tugged at the corner of his lips. Freedom won't taste so sweet if you're starving, old boy. You're on edge as it is. You and your little girlfriend haven't had a thing to drink in days. Them high and mighty court demons can pass on that drinker's darker drink a day or 6, but you... I know. I can barely go a day. Good. Hard to tell what she left behind in that head of yours. She got greedy, did Our Lady of the Mind Chain, and don't think for a minute that she won't be back. Gotta get your strength up before she comes sniffing around. I've killed people. Not about to do that again. Said the demon. Just look him in the eyes, you sorry sap. The demon's gaze. Right. If it's immortal and it meets your eye, down it goes. Packs a kick, the gaze does. Kinda like a strong dose of laudanum. I suppose you don't have to kill them. Spoils the fun a bit. But I guess if you're not keen on the attention. It's that easy, huh? Easy as looking. It seemed to snicker. Look, as long as you can go hungry, I win. You can pal around with me, or you can serve me. But you can't overcome me. I'm the toll booth on the road to eternity, sweetheart. You gotta pay. It seems like I gotta pay more than once. Think of it as your daily commute. The hunger didn't fade, but its words seemed to slide off him now. Almost like water from a mirror. Sure, I'll remember that. Don't listen to the goddess. What? It was gone, and he was left wondering how the real conversation, if you could call it that, had been. Like a fading dream, he was already having trouble remembering what it had said. Here, real quick, let's check the mind. Let's see what that's about. Okay, if I don't do something about the hunger, the physical thirst ensuing, it isn't so hard, almost as easy as being demon bit. What'd I get for asking for advice from the demon in my head? The hunger seemed to think I has some sway over me, been killing people. I think I remember that much. Grand. Eye is gone, strange demon's gone, the light is beginning to smart. Am I dead? Who was dead? More like, he is not of the mind chain. We hunger. It's the memory. Last clear memories in December when the Skyward Streets killings took place. This was not long after it became a demon, I think some 6 months ago. The Empress's shadow would give us orders for the mind chain. The demon nodded, the mind chain ran off. I off and did something to my connection with the chain. Helps some, clarifies little. Okay. I remember she was infected by the mind chain as I was. The demon's gaze paralyzes our prey. The hunger isn't real. Well, not exactly, and I haven't gone mad, so what is it? The mind chain connects shadow demons to the Empress's shadow. Feels like having your brain drained out of your nose. Glad that's over. Worried it might come back. Okay. Just checking that real quick, see what it said. However, the actual physical hunger, the thirst remained. It twisted in his gut. He knew he would have to deal with it, and soon. Throughout her reign, the Empress demanded tributes of flesh and blood. Yeah. No city-state escaped these tributes, nor the steep imperial taxes for very long, except one. There was a series of islands far to the southwest mainland Icer that were believed uninhabitable due to a cool desert climate. One year, the Empress's fleet visited these islands in pursuit of pirates that had been harrying the coast. The Empress was incensed to discover not only that people lived on the islands, but that they would offer refuge to the pirates, so she demanded 20 years of tributes and taxes of the mysterious islanders and told them that they were fortunate to not owe more. Once the imperial decree reached the... oh, god damn it. Mavarian people, for that is what they were called. Can't be something simpler. The ruling royalty sought advice from the priesthood. The priest of the Mavarian god declared the two royal sisters should be sent with the other tributes to convey their sincere intentions to the Empress. For a time all seemed well. The princesses were well received and appeared to impress the Empress with their manners and many gifts. On the eve of the first day, the Empress held a great gathering in which she invited the younger of the two princesses to join her on the dais. That's pretty cool. Oh, can I, is there a way to see the, nope. Self-voicing.
Self-voicing enabled. Self-voicing disabled.
Okay. Just forget I did that. That's pretty cool. Before the younger... Okay, then she slew her there before the elder sister's eyes. Before the young princess could die, the Empress gave her an elixir which brought her back to life but also changed her. Thereafter, the princess was known as the Empress's shadow. Demons are made with blood and death, and the shadow's blood was cursed by her unjust death. And the Empress's poisoned elixir, and every demon of shadow was likewise bound in service to the Empress. During the height of the Empire, shadow demons were thought to uphold the imperial curfew by slaying any who dared venture out after sunset. From the Book of Sarian History, Separating Legend and Fact, written by Kalevel Van Hera, under the pen name Martia Helva Holm in the year 1262 CE. Van Hera House. Ridiculous, thought Kalevel. She rifled through the papers as someone, Michelle, she assumed, had left on her desk, as a way of delegating some problem or another to her care. If she was lucky, she could pass it off to one of the younger demons. One daily paper caught her eye. Western Portal. Oh, one of those stories. Another wanderer stumbling into Acer from another world, and they just had one of those. But that didn't tell her why someone had thought this paper important enough to leave on her desk for her to find. Then she saw her name in the list of headlines at the top. Ah, that. She flipped quickly to the story, feeling her face heat at the memory of the phone call, and at sight of her own words paraphrased in bold, black, and seemingly very permanent ink. She realized she was clenching her jaw and forced herself to relax, to take a breath. It was fine, she could handle this. She made a mistake, speaking to the reporter, but there would be no more interviews. Not if the interviews valued their lives, she thought, feeling her lips draw back from her teeth. Not that they'd ever know the danger she posed. Then she pushed aside the desire to strike first. It wasn't the reporter's or Michelle's fault. She would reserve judgment, yes. She must take the time to analyze the situation. After all, she had an idea just which scheming God cursed her. Excuse for a demon might be responsible for this mess. Kalevel made her way towards Markia's dwelling in War Prefecture. The way through the catacombs would be quickest, but she stopped short on Skylar Street. She detected the lingering scent of a shadow demon and noted, as she usually did, that they smelled a little bit like the rotting underside of a log. Seems very specific. However, she didn't have time for such prey now. No, she was here to hunt a different breed of vermin, and he was here, and she was certain of it. I know you're here, Markias. Are you hiding from me? Silence answered her. I can tell it's you by the stink of myrrh and dust rising over the stench of shadow demon. She was starting to feel foolish speaking to the empty street. Perhaps she'd been mistaken. I'll find out what you're up to regardless, even if I have to stay here all day, dear heart. Dear heart? Kalevel, my dear. Think that's enough flashing fire? You do know that someone could be watching. Should you not be hunting, my dear? I believe I saw a rat creeping about not long ago. Two, in fact, indeed, I believe. They're old friends of yours. You know I've never known you to let two such savage creatures get away for so long. I, one of the two shadow demons that habitually hunted on the street, could work Malia magic. This town allowed her to hide herself and anyone with her from other demons. It had made for a challenging hunt. Still, any shadow demons that Kalevel failed to destroy would kill innocents. Perhaps if you ever helped me, she thought, but she wouldn't say that. Not to Markias. How did he always derail her like this? She shoved aside her guilt. I've been distracted. Lately, it's evading reporters. Was it your doing? Did you keep them? You told me years ago that my things went into the fire with the rest of the records. I believe your exact words were forgotten and gone and cast to the wind. Now there are people think I'm a descendant of myself asking for interviews. Would it be better if they believed you were yourself? You know it wouldn't be. Level with me, Markias. What exactly are you asking? Did you keep those records? She waited, wondering if he would lie, not that she was certain she would be able to tell what the old demon. It's going to rain. For the love of little house cats, is that how you evade questions now? Perhaps the years have finally eaten their way through that thick skull of yours. No, I'm busy. Oh, and what are you busy with today? You know the street falls into the terms of our bargain. You can't... If you're displeased and you have only yourself to blame, you should have changed your identity years ago. You cannot be yourself in both the mortal world and ours and expect no consequences. So I should live like you. I think I would rather be dead or mortal. Nevertheless, the street does not fall into the terms of our bargain. Our dear theater owner saw to that. What does Antonine have to do with this? I see. Is he working with you now? It doesn't matter. He is not my only ally on Skylar Street. I say that makes it mine enough to fall under our terms. Or do you forget our bargain? Did he dare to break a demon's bargain? Would he risk death for his games? Most demons wouldn't. It was not the first time she'd wondered if Markias could walk away from their old agreement unscathed. He was hardly most demons. If only you yearned to be the Empress, then we would be having a rather different conversation. Before she could tell him just what she thought of that old argument, he went on. Alas, I am busy, and as I said, my dear, it is going to rain. Perhaps you should hurry home. Did you say hurry home? No, I think I must see these weather forecasting skills of yours for myself. This is not the right time to take your anger out of me, Kalevel. I wasn't angry until you began evading my questions. She hadn't exactly been pleased with him to start, but neither had she been so irritated. It always seemed to go like this with my cures. My dear, how you cleave to old hurts. What an effort it must be after so long. But I know you imagined a far different life for yourself. Perhaps a happier one. And you have never forgiven me for making you immortal. It's in the past, man. It's in the... Okay. Okay, there we go. No, that is long in the past, Macarius. Your gift did me no favors for many years, if you recall. But I also remember that it was the Empresses who encouraged my persecution. It grated on her to admit it, but that part wasn't your fault. Then why this confrontation? I told you already. I don't know why you won't just tell me what you did with the documents. Kalevel, those things turn up in dusty cupboards and being behind forgotten panels all the time, especially in a city like Asher. Right. Except this is coming from the man who planted one of my books in some library last winter just to set off a series of events he foresaw in a dream. There is that. He seemed distracted. At first she thought he was only being curious, but his aloofness seemed greater today than usual. I am running out of time, and as much as I have enjoyed this diversion. What are you doing? Marcaius! As if after a lightning strike, sweet ozone clung to the air. It was only evidence that the barrier between worlds had been briefly fractured by the departure of the two demons. The break barely had time to mend itself, however, before the one called Marcaius returned to resume his post. He would wait, unseen. I really like the music in this game. I like the tones. It's really nice. Nice ambience. The fragrance of magic, myrrh, and cobwebs hung suspended in the air, far too faintly for a mortal to detect. By contrast, the reek of newly turned earth grew richer in the warmth of morning. The scent did not agree with the city street, but seethed in the air like a kicked hive. Or Prefecture Asher, 6:30 in the morning. Tal loved this time of day. She loved the quiet and gentle light. It was only a shame that she couldn't see the sunrise for the buildings. Not that she would see it if she were home. She'd be too busy with her chores to gaze at the sky. She turned the corner. I must be close, she thought, taking in the old buildings. Had the ancient empire looked like this in its heyday? Some of these stones certainly looked old enough to be in the Imperial. For some reason, that thought made her shiver. She glanced down at her little worn scrap of newspaper, carefully torn from the classified section. She read it again for perhaps the 10th time. This was the right street. Ahead was Skyla Street Theater. Her anticipation trickled away. That was it? She supposed it looked better on the inside. Hopefully it smelled better, too. Well, it wasn't like she intended to be a career secretary. It was just a job. A step away from the family farm. A step toward her dream. Happy to be free. Yeah. It was almost an adventure, after all. She was nearly free. Free to run her life, or to give it a go. But more than that, free to those furtive glances that had grown all too common lately. The ones that said, when will there be grandchildren, Tell? Whenever relatives come to visit her family's house, bringing their little ones with them. Her parents had long since stopped asking such questions aloud. But here, there was a cheap electricity nearby every district. She could read all night if she wanted to, and the public library was enormous. No more stupid, dull farm work, and if she happened to want a garden, she could grow whatever pleased her. That is, if she could get and keep a job before she wore out her welcome, and Livy could not put up her rent free forever. And Tell did not want to burden her, and becoming a shop girl in the family store was a last resort. Her good spirits faltered when she saw a man across the street. She hoped that he wasn't the sort of person to make casual conversation. But he was making his way towards her, perhaps already about to say, "Good morning and fine day, isn't it?" So she prepared her automatic reply. But instead, "Did you forget your umbrella?" "I confess, I forgot mine." "Beg your pardon?" "It is going to rain." "Is it?" Her words came out dull and echoing, and Tell tried to recover her wits. Conversation isn't like reading lines in a play, Tell. You don't have to study for it. Just say what you like. Her aunt's words rang in her ears, and she felt the heat rise in her face. The man did not seem to notice her growing mortification. In fact, he seemed content only to stand there on the corner. Then she really looked at him. There was something slightly off about his attire. His hair, too, was unfashionably long, and he carried himself in an aloof manner. He didn't wear the overpowering cologne that seemed so popular with men from the city, but something that reminded her of old books noticeably clung to the air around him, as well as something musty and resinous. But after a moment it was gone, and she was sure she had imagined it. I don't remember hearing anything about rain. Actually, now that she thought of it, rain was the perfect excuse to end the conversation quickly. Maybe you're right, I should go before I'm caught in it. There is an overhang above that grate, and you could stand over there to wait it out. She wondered if he would continue to talk to her if she ignored him and just strode across the street. Besides, you don't want that job. Not yet. Perhaps not at all. The conversation had gone from startling to strange to unsettling in a very little time, until abandoned all attempts at manners. What? And was it not awful? What happened to his last assistant? Tell grasped for something to say. What happened? Wasn't exactly gossiping if he told information that might help instead of hurt, was it? What do you mean by his last assistant? Oh, it was in all the papers for a little while. You didn't see. She had. She was about to say so, but he carried on. Oh, it was quite a mystery, and there was never certain how to categorize the incident. Incident? The murder, my dear. They still don't know whether it was the Skyway Street Killers or somebody else. Oh. All her aunt's warnings about living and working in the city rose to mind at once. She tried to remind herself that Aunt Livy saw demons and everything, but the fear remained. Then another thought crossed her. Who exactly was she speaking to, that he would know all this? What kind of man waited outside another's establishment and warned off potential employees? She was about to ask, but the words died, forgotten, when he spoke again. Rumor has it that Mr. Harris had quite the argument with the young lady before her disappearance. I'm sure he did. Indeed. And that was when it began to rain. Tell looked across the street, feeling torn. It's too late now. Even if you run, you won't be presentable enough to be let in the door, much less to have that interview. From our phone conversation with that prickly secretary, Tell had a feeling he was right to. What a disaster, all of it. The rain picked up, and a gust of wind blew icy needles of water into her face. She hurried to the place the man had pointed out earlier, near the stairs beneath the overhang. It was a little drier. But how did you know about me? She looked up to find the man had left. Good riddance, she supposed. Would have been an unpleasant wait with that one for company, although she was grateful for the dry spot. The storm picked up, and she was glad she had not dashed across the street. She would have been caught in the downpour. Now she only worried about the time, and whether this would be a quick summer storm or the kind that lasted for days. Maybe it would dwindle in a few moments. Maybe. Hey, kid. The voice came from near her feet, of course. Her thoughts took on a tone somewhere between exasperated and hysterical. Well, why not? This day seems determined to get stranger and stranger. Tell looked down at the grating, not sure she wanted to know what awaited there. Eyes, like that of a rat's or a deer's, gazed up at her through the metal bars. The whites were entirely swallowed by the iris, looking all wrong in the otherwise human face. You can tell a demon by his eyes, but if you look, it may be the last thing you see. This was a demon. Oh, but that was such a silly thought. There was no such thing as demons. Maybe there are such things as demons. What is a demon? What is a man? Is man demon, or is demon man? And with that, I think I'm going to end off this quick look here. I hope you enjoyed to tell. It's called I keep wanting to say to tell a demon, but it's just called Tell a Demon. That's the name of the game. It's, I think, $12.99 on Steam. It's on sale right now. I don't know how long the sale is, but it's like 11 something, so it's not a very expensive game. Looks pretty cool. I like the art style. Seems like an interesting enough story. I'm sure it's going to open up quite a bit later on, but with that, I will leave you to that, and I hope you all have a good day, and I will see you next time. Take care.